Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.
Live from the GBM studios in Belize City, it's Open Your Eyes. Start your morning right with your hosts, Sabrina Daly and Paul Lopez.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Sabrina Daly.
And I'm Paul Lopez.
And good morning, Paul.
Good
How
morning.
we doing?
I'm doing fine.
It's an unusual Monday morning having our faces on, is it?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, guys, to disappoint you. I know we've become accustomed to having Isani and April on, so there's just a slight change up this morning. And but we are still very much happy to be here with you, including our TikTok viewers. We have our TikTok fans locked in on an early Monday morning, and as you guys know, the routine is we have to sign off here, but we invite you guys over to our main live. It was always fun getting like behind the scenes conversations going. We were talking early this morning about like coffee shops that are on the scenes right now and who's super into the matchas and how much they're willing to spend on the matchas as well. But aside from that, it's been quite an eventful weekend. I know there's a lot to get into. But before we do that, can we jump into our show lineup?
Yeah.
All right. So this morning's conversation will begin with a conversation surrounding building a new era of community policing. After that, balancing the scales, uplifting women's voice in Women's Month. You would know that the month of March is Women's Month. Also, this is the first Monday of the month of March. Happy March. And then finally, shaping success with women in the digital space. Yeah. So that's what we have lined up for you guys in terms of conversations. But aside from that, we do have sort of like a couch discussion as well. I also know aside from that, there is the women in police or women in the forces, the security forces that will be marching as well. So that's something that we'll be looking forward to.
Indeed. So they will be marching this morning. So they're marching into March. I like that you mentioned it's the first Monday in March, and one of the things that kind of signals the entry of this season is the heat.
Yeah.
The heat has been on, and I'm sure that a lot of us out there we're feeling it. This weekend was no exception. I was in Belmopan on Saturday, and that's,
did you feel that Kyle heat?
Man, that sun by your skin feel like you're close to stove or fire hot, that hot. And then yesterday was no different as well. There's certain times in the day, like between 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, where it just, that heat is on. And so that's what we expect from this time of the year, right?
Yeah, but with the heat come the lee breeze too, man.
Right,
Because,
so
you
you
know, that
get kite season, and then right into kite season, you get your Easter holiday.
Yeah.
And so there's also a time when a lot of Belizeans go out and swim. And so there's also advice or something where we should always be alert and be aware as to not only our surroundings in waters, but the surroundings of our family members, our friends, the children. We should always be looking out for the kids when we go out swimming, right? Because we, on this side of the reporting space, we hear the stories annually, and we would hate for something like that to occur this year, though sometimes some people say it's inevitable because of the amount of volume of people that floods to the rivers, the keys, the beach, etc. And so I just thought it prudent to kind of get our minds in the space this morning where we become more alert and aware and conscious of these sort of activities that we do during
My
this
final
time.
thoughts before we go into our things that we think people should know is it just me, or do we feel like the year is just flying by very quickly?
Yeah.
We're in the 3rd month now, you know, Paul. And I feel like we just acknowledged the new year, you know, like about 4 weeks ago. I feel like it was just a month that it was in January.
Yeah, I stopped having that discussion and I just started embracing it.
Yeah?
Because I feel like 2020 and me just the other day.
True.
And we did 6 years.
Doesn't it feel kind of scary though, Paul, that time feels like it's going by so fast?
It does in a sense, but it
Does
also...
it feel that way for you guys? Do you get like frightened, like, okay, I need to quickly do the things that I say I wanted to do
Exactly.
because time is gonna scoot by
I don't
very
know if
quickly.
quickly is the word, but it keeps us grounded.
Yeah.
Because it keeps us remembering that time waits for nobody. And if you want to do something, get out there,
Yeah.
be brave, get uncomfortable, and do it.
I'm
now.
definitely in that season
All right.
of life.
And it's our
for
peach
sure.
now, right? I start do collection. So
Offering.
jump into the
Let's go
five
into
things
what
you
we
need
have
to
lined
know.
up.
All right, so here are some things you need to know this morning. Prominent Underworld figure dies of sudden illness at sea. Secondly, the U.S. and Israel launched major combat operations against Iran on Sunday, killing the supreme leader, who has been confirmed dead. Ruta Maya paddler boycotts Love FM. Protest concerns develop, leading to races end. And last but certainly not least, what's up with the launch of the National Bus Company, which is officially entering its phase as of yesterday. And so we're going to talk about those things.
All right. Well, Paul, I think what was probably going to be a headline story tonight in the newscast has been the passing of an Underworld figure that was announced, I believe, last night across social media. Mr. Flowers was known to the law, I believe, in some
many
cases.
instances.
But he was out at sea. It was reported that there was some sort of boat mechanical issue. However, instead of that being the main concern or the major concern, it was when he experienced a type of medical issue. I believe it was a stroke or 2 strokes he had. And ultimately having his boat not being able to move in time to land to get the medical attention that he needed, he succumbed to his injury.
Yeah, it's no doubt that this individual is somebody that's well known to the law. He is respected in the streets. He is a leader within these communities. He is specifically known as somebody of authority in what we call or we refer to or people refer to as the PIV area, correct? And what we gathered yesterday, initially reports were that there was this huge explosion due to this mechanical issue and that he had suffered some injuries as a result of that, and then that led to a stroke. But as the information becomes more clearer and we gather more, because what the explosion was kind of beginning to suggest was some sort of way to say it,
like
untoward, like an attack. So some suspicious activities there, right? But as the information becomes clearer, we're beginning to learn and understand that it was more of a medical emergency that he suffered. While there may have been some mechanical issues with the boat, it was a medical emergency where he experienced a stroke, we understand, and
which is a crazy coincidence, right?
Right, and then he was rushed for medical assistance, medical care, and we understand that it is in that process that he experienced a second stroke and passed away. Now, this individual is well known by the law. If you go and you look up the name Edwin Flowers, who also goes by the name Drive, he's well known in the streets by Drive. He has a criminal past, accused of murders. He was recently on trial for gun and drug charges following a bust on an island off the coast of Belize City. And one begins to question, and I hear questions about the vacuum that now his absence creates in the street. And some might say, well, it's a bit too early to have that conversation, but at the same time, people are considering what his absence means for leadership, if you would, in this street organization, if I can put it that way, and how they'll seek to move forward in this area. One of the things we also know about Mr. Flowers is that he was heavily involved in the leadership intervention unit. He was considered a leader in the unit, and there were conversations about him wanting and attempting to change his life, and this is why he sought to be in the leadership intervention unit, and perhaps even sought to change the course of many other young men that looked up to him. But at the same time, there was questions about his character and his true intent for being a part of the leadership intervention unit after that drug and gun bust that took place recently. But all in all, we know that the community is mourning. We know that those who are close to him, his family and his friends, that they are mourning. And it is not often that we hear of situations where somebody, such a prominent street figure, passes away under such circumstances, right? It's usually associated with some sort of violent incident or some sort of violent act. And it's not necessarily to give credence to their operation here this morning or to make it more glorious or to glorify it in a sense, because you also have to separate the citizen and the person from the gang element. But at the same time, you can't ignore that there's a huge gang element here that has to be looked at, and you can't ignore the fact that now a new leader must emerge, if you would, because it's the reality that we live in. It's the streets that we live in.
Yeah.
And so
what does that look like even?
And then, so even what that looks like, and within these groups, there's always a level of internal volatility as well. And so questions emerge as to whether or not this could spark up those sort of things within that community. But it is also to acknowledge that he has passed this morning, and that we will be following it up in our newscast and get those interviews.
Yeah, well, we still want to stay on the local scenes, but there has been some crazy developments over the weekend involving the La Ruta Maya River Challenge. You would know that we were talking about it extensively on Friday's What the Friday episode of Open Your Eyes, and this also has been conversations throughout the course of the past 2 weeks, I'd say. This follows an announcement that there would be a change in the finish line of the La Ruta Maya River Challenge. Now, that was confirmed and became official that, in fact, the finish line did change from the Belkan Bridge area to the Grand Resort near Halover Bridge. Now, we were anticipating some type of reaction. We had the Belize Canoe Association on the couch with us. You heard their thoughts on it. But there was also a meeting that was held over the weekend. I understand that the Belkan brand came forward inviting parties to come together to figure out a way forward before the race, to have a better understanding of what the concerns were. But Paul, out of that meeting, I did not imagine that we would see a full-on boycotting of the organized station that has been involved with documenting this challenge, this race, for many decades. And that's exactly what happened. They are saying that they are boycotting Love FM in terms of providing interviews, I understand. And while they can't do much about changing where the end of the race is, for safety reasons, they will still show some type of protest and reaction, I imagine, at the end.
Yeah, Love FM came on the scene with the race in 2015.
Okay,
yeah.
so about a decade.
About a decade. And they've been providing coverage for the race ever since. And it's a part of exposing brand, right? It's a part of brand exposure. You need that sort of...
It almost seems synonymous after so long,
You need that. And what we heard from one individual, I think it's Javier Gutierrez over the weekend, is that somebody who has been broadcasting, they've been part of the broadcasting initiative of the race for the last, since its inception. He said that the Love FM has pretty much taken over the broadcasting aspect, and he felt as if he was being excluded, even though he's been such a prominent figure for the last 5 years. He felt a level of exclusion, and I think that is the bottom line here. A lot of people feel excluded from not only the organization and the planning of the race, but they also feel excluded in terms of the events that take place at the finish line, in terms of the decisions that are made, the little booths that are set up at certain parts of the finish line on the grounds, who could enter, who can't enter, who's VIP, who isn't VIP. These sort of things, people feel excluded. People that takes this race to heart, people that invest a lot in the race, right? And it is that exclusion that I think is ultimately the main challenge, and it is that exclusion that is becoming what people are describing as the downfall of the race. People want to feel included, and the pin that broke the camel's back, if you would, I think that's a saying, was the decision to move the finish line. And so the exclusion, the sentiment of exclusion just continues to spill over. So yes, they're planning to boycott the race in terms of not giving Love FM interviews. And they're going to rely on other media houses to get interviews from. And so that's one of the decisions they're making. And then we also heard conversations surrounding excluding Love FM altogether from the race next year. I understand that that is a legal process, and that legal process is currently underway by even family members of the Harrison brothers. They are stepping in to essentially take back the race and plan it for next year in a different manner, excluding Love FM.
Forgive me though, because now I'm getting a little bit confused. Does Love FM have a say, or did Love FM have a say in where the ending of the finish line would be? Because it seemed that the original frustration had to do with the finish line, and now it's about the Love FM TV station and radio station in general. It seems that they're now moving their frustration and their direction to Love FM.
Yeah, well, we still haven't been able to get full clarity on the entire involvement of Love FM in the race in terms of what their particular role is outside of being broadcasters. But we do know that based on the conversations they've had, they invest heavily in the race. And they, like the committee, expect a return. And that's one of the conversations I think is not being held enough, how expensive it is to have these sort of races. So outside of the exclusion, to balance off the conversation, you have to consider the finances that is needed to run a race like this, to operate a race like this. And nobody goes into, especially private businesses, goes into these things to lose money. You want to earn money and you want to be as profitable as possible. But I think in the pursuit of profit, and in which some would say is justifiable because you have to make back your money, but in the pursuit of profit, you also have to balance inclusion, and perhaps that is where they went off course. I don't disagree in totality with any initiative or any effort to earn as much income as is necessary so that paddlers get their prizes, so that they're well taken care of throughout the race, so that the broadcasting is as smooth as possible. But it's how you go about doing it. And so this is the balancing act that any organizing committee, anybody that has even a morsel of input into the organization, that they have to consider. And if you don't consider that, you get these types of pushbacks, you get these types of protests. And ultimately people will push you out because they feel a sense of ownership and entitlement to a race that was originally planned and intended for the people.
Yes. Well, moving things along, if we're talking for the people, I think this bus conversation is another one as well. As you rightly mentioned, yesterday, which was March 1st, was officially the opening of the National Bus Company as well. And with that, we've been talking about it quite a few on our newscasts as well. The changes that we will be anticipating over the course of the next couple years. But while we're not seeing necessarily new buses on the scenes as yet, there is new ownership. And so I saw even over the weekend some people kind of like acknowledging the end of an era
like
for the James bus line, right? And what a big deal that was. A lot of people have even like a sense of pride around the James bus line, even if you're not a part of the ownership. But there were also some concerns coming out from the public side, wondering if there would be some changes in bus schedules as well. And so the Department of Transport put out a press release providing some answers to those frequently asked questions.
Again, it's another case study of change. And in this season, perhaps those persons who want to study change and how things shift in Belize and what's their best approach to change in Belize, this is a great season. You have the La Ruta Maya, and now you have the National Bus Company, but the jarring, I think it really sunk in for people when they saw that National Bus Company logo go over the James Bus Line logo over the weekend.
It made us didn't it make you think of our James Bus Line conversation last year? One of James Bus going to the weekend.
We're not going to get in trouble with Shaw's Bus for that. Yeah, they scold me about that one day, right? But even them, even Shaw Bus, you won't no longer see Shaw Bus. You'll see the same sticker, the National Bus Company over it. What I understand, right, and what I have learned based on conversations and consultations is that it is a phased period that we are in. And so what the minister pointed out is that from March to August, we're in a transition period where we're working on the administrative aspect of it. So that includes ensuring that there is cohesion, that the scheduling is fine-tuned, that they get on board a cashless system as well, that this sort of racing on the highway doesn't take place as it was before because they're no longer competing against each other. So you don't have to race. We are now a part of the same company, the same goal, the same objective. So a lot of the issues, according to how they presented it, a lot of the issues that commuters complained about are being addressed, administrative issues are being addressed in this March to August phase. But one of the big things that a lot of commuters complained about isn't going to be addressed in the immediate, in the overnight, which is the quality of buses that we ride on a day-to-day basis. So what the minister explained is that in August, we're going to begin to see the rollout of new buses, electric buses, and if my memory serves me correct, this rollout will take place from August of this year all the way into next year and furthermore into 2030. And the objective is to replace all the buses. For me, I think what is progress in the immediate is the ability to, or the move to put a stop to the racing on the highway. Right? I don't know that all the change will happen immediately overnight. But to me, this is a step in the right direction. So you stop the racing by removing this competitive hostility from the initiative. But there are still questions because people feel a certain way about not seeing new buses on the road. Right? So we got a new company with the same old bus. And that kind of what people are concerned about. And I think the only way for people to buy into it
is when they actually physically see.
Is when they actually physically see the new buses
on the line.
And begin to ride those new buses, but to also begin to experience some level of change in the way how the services are being offered. And so I'm sure something will be following today to look at how the rollout is progressing and how the national bus company is now on stream and what people are saying about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we want to move into our final topic, and this one is more international. I know that a lot of people right now are having somber thoughts around the conflict situation in the Middle East involving the United States. Paul, my social media pages, news pages were just filled with a lot of very sad reports involving airstrikes, persons across the Middle East, as I mentioned, even in Dubai, being impacted by these major combat operations as it is, or as it was identified. With that, we also learned that the supreme leader of Iran, his name is Ali Khamenei, was confirmed dead as well. And so there's a lot of conversation surrounding what his role was and what follows after his passing as well.
Yeah, so the name is a bit
Khamenei?
hard. Yeah,
Khamenei?
so it's Khamenei, right?
Khamenei?
Yeah. So, well, the K.
The K is like silent?
It goes into the H and yes, right. So it's like a right?
Khamenei.
Yeah. It's not familiar to our mother tongue, right? So, but that's one thing. This is an individual that holds the greatest level of authority within that nation. And for me, I contextualize it by looking at the U.S. actions in the international scene, right? Not only in Iran, but also in Venezuela, and the impacts on Cuba as well under the Trump administration.
Yeah.
And the aggressive nature with which his administration goes against or attacks those nations that are opposed to the United States. It says to me that the Trump administration is not an administration to be messed with. It's not an administration to threaten. It's not an administration to go against. And this is why, to some extent, when the U.S. had representation at CARICOM meetings over the course of the last week, a lot of the leaders have to essentially be yes sir, yes ma'am, take that yes sir, yes ma'am type of approach, because they appreciate the authority that not only the U.S. has, but the seriousness of this man called President Donald Trump. When he say he want to do something, he says he's shown, he has proven that they don't now have the capability, but the wherewithal to go against any country. And so people are asking, well, who's next? Will it be China?
Yeah. People are also asking about retaliatory efforts that might come out of Iran. I understand that there was a red flag hoisted above mosques. And so we know that they have retaliated in trying to attack military bases from their neighbors. But I'm speaking more specifically to the United States. Their concerns around that too.
And you have to understand that for people in that nation, this attack didn't only kill a political figure, it also killed a religious figure, right? Supreme in religious leadership. And that, for a nation that holds their religious beliefs and practice so close,
their regime,
for some it's like comparable to
like a king.
A king.
Yeah, because he's above the president.
Even a pope in some senses, right? And so you could understand the fury that is emanating from the leaders that are still alive, because along with the supreme leader, many other leaders were executed through these bombings, and the Trump administration has vowed to take more lives.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to retaliation against the United States, what we've seen Iran do, they've launched missiles towards bases, U.S. bases within the Middle East, and countries that have not seen aggression at this level.
Who are probably not even picking a side.
Right, but because of association, because they have U.S. bases and U.S. relations in their country, they're being attacked. And what is ironic for me is that many of these nations are, and for a lot of people, is that many of these nations are telling or demanding that Iran stops or cease bombings or attacks against Middle East countries.
Because innocent people die.
On the other hand, there wasn't this much, the condemnation against the U.S. by some of these countries, or this attempt to defend Iran, right? By many of these countries. And a lot of people find that ironic. So you tell Iran, stop the bomb, stop the bomb, stop the bomb. But there was no such coming forward when the U.S. decided to take these sort of actions. And Iran has vowed not to negotiate any further with the U.S. over their nuclear operations, because this is where it all began. At least currently, this is where it began. We're based on reports from the U.S. and the conversations about Iran developing nuclear weapons, and the U.S. attempting to have them stop these sort of developments, and they're around the negotiation table, and President Trump kept warning, if we not reach one deal, I feel with wrath. And well, the Trump administration said they have had enough. They don't want to talk no more. We don't want to move forward with how we want this thing to move forward. So again, for me, it is a sign of the times.
Yeah.
And nations and leaders around the world are looking, and I think many of them are cowering. They're thinking, how can we stay on the good side of the Trump administration and stay on the good side of this president? And for many nations, it's how can we just get through this? Because this is President Trump's last term. How can we just get through this season?
If he's not able to find another way to...
a loophole now to have a third term. How can we get through this season and hope for better, depending on which side you're on, hope for better in the future? So as much as it is an attack, it is also something of optics that a lot of countries are now saying, yeah, boy, then people are serious. We have to stay up and we P's and Q's.
It's a trying time, I think, for the world in general, not just particular regions. It's a scary time even. My thoughts are definitely with people who have been traveling. For example, I had a conversation with my best friend. She has a small business or a side business as a travel agent, as a travel consultant. And she had some of her clients in Dubai when the airports had to be closed down because of the strikes that were taking place over that side. So innocent lives are being impacted by this. You know, you can't prepare for something like that. And so my thoughts are definitely with people who are trying to figure out what their safety will look like for the next coming months even. I also think about implications when wars like this take place. They always say when wars take place, gas price go up, you know, oil go up.
And over there, that part of the world, they're one of the largest, they're not the largest suppliers of oil, right? Energy for the world.
And so if we are not directly impacted, we will be impacted one way or another. That's where we're going to have conversations about inflation again. And so it's definitely going to impact each and every one of us, and we should be having this conversation. But unfortunately, we have to conclude this segment now this morning. We want to thank you for your thoughts in the comment section and just staying engaged with us. We move things along now and go into our weather update. And this comes from the folks at the National Meteorological Service. All right, here is our Eye on the Weather, brought to you by the folks from the National Meteorological Service. Today's weather calls for sunny with a few cloudy spells and partly cloudy tonight. Showers will be isolated. In terms of temperatures, coastal areas will experience highs of 85 degrees Fahrenheit and dropping to lows of 75. Inland areas will be going as high as 90 degrees, but going as low as 68 degrees, quite chilly. But in the hills, you can expect around 82 degrees Fahrenheit for higher temperatures, then dropping to a chilly 62 degrees Fahrenheit as well in the hills. In terms of our extended forecast for inland and coastal areas, on Tuesday and Wednesday, you can expect very similar temperatures, highs of 85 and 84, and then 91 and 88. However, lows will also look like 75 and 68 and 76 and 68 as well for inland and coastal areas. On Thursday and Friday, though, also very similar, 84 and 88, 85 and 87, then dropping to lows of 77 and 70, 76 and 70 for inland and coastal areas. The sea state today will look a slight to light chop and the winds will blow from the east to northeast at 5 to 15 knots. Today's high tide will take place at 9:44 a.m. However, a low tide will take place at 3:22 p.m. and then another high tide at 9:40 p.m. and then tomorrow another low tide at 4:19 a.m. And the sun rose this morning at 6:10 a.m. and it's set to set at 5:59 p.m. The moon set will take place at 5:34 a.m. or the moon set at 5:34 a.m. and will rise tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. And that does it for our Eye on the Weather, again brought to you by the folks from the National Meteorological Service. Paul, back to you.
Excellent. Thanks for that weather update, Sabrina. What we're going to do right now is we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, it's all about community policing. We'll have a conversation. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
In the heart of the Cayo district, Calico Jacks is proving that sustainability and success can go hand in hand.
When Calico Jacks wanted to move to solar energy, the biggest difficulty for us was the finance. Belize Bank believed in our vision, and we are very happy and grateful that they gave us this opportunity for the financing.
Through the Credit Risk Abatement Facility, a partnership between Belize Bank and the CARICOM Development Fund, small and medium businesses can access financing for renewable and energy-efficient solutions with reduced collateral requirements.
Here at SCSB, we're grateful for Belize Bank to make it easy for our clients to go green. We're proud to work with businesses like Calico Jacks to help them lower their costs and their carbon footprint.
At Belize Bank, we are powering Belize's transition to renewable energy, one business at a time. Together with our partners, we're making sustainable financing accessible for all.
Belize Bank, financing a greener, stronger Belize.
A postpaid plan for 3 people. Introducing Smart Trio. Why pay for mobile service alone when you can share and save? Get unlimited national calls, texts, plus 100 gigabytes of shared data. And the best part? It's only $135. That's right, as low as $45 per person. Perfect for small families, couples, or close friends. Smart Trio, 3 lines, 1 smart choice. Sign up now and you could win a Trio getaway to San Pedro for 3. Visit us at www.smart-bz.com for more information or sign up at any showroom today. Smart, bringing people together.
GBM is turning the spotlight home. All Belizean, all day, every day. We're bringing to you more local and regional programs than ever before. Relive the classics you love. Plus, enjoy brand new stories that celebrates who we are, our people, our pride, our Belize. So whether you're at home, in the office, or on the go, keep GBM on, because now more than ever, Belize is on TV.
We at Fulltech Systems understand that technology isn't just a tool, it's a game changer. At home, smart devices and AI are revolutionizing daily life. In education, tech is making learning more interactive and accessible for students and educators alike. For businesses and government, it's driving innovation, streamlining operations, and unlocking growth, leveraging tech for better services, infrastructure, and security. At Fulltech Systems, we help you thrive with cutting-edge solutions, partnering with leaders like Dell, HP, Microsoft, APC, Fortinet, Cisco, and Tomy. We deliver the right products for your needs, whether it's boosting efficiency, improving customer engagement, or scaling operations. Connect with us and let's drive innovation together. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you come for the price, but stay for the service.
Every great job starts at Brothers Habet with the best supplies and the right support, including free delivery on site, so you can focus on the job. Brothers Habet, working with contractors since 1983.
Good morning and welcome back to Open Your Eyes. This is our first conversation. And as we mentioned, we are going to be diving deeper into the community policing initiative and what building a new era of community policing will look like in 2026. To guide us in that conversation, we have here with us Elroy Carcamo in the middle. He is the Superintendent of Police. He's also Deputy Commander and community-oriented policing with responsibility for stakeholder engagement in the North and East. To his left, we have Gerald Jones. He is the Senior Superintendent of Police as well, Commander with Community-Oriented Policing Unit. And to my immediate left, we have Rochelle Chan. He's the Deputy Commander representing the Community-Oriented Policing Unit. He's an administrator. He's in administration, internal operations, and support with direct responsibility for the West and South. You guys have a lot of hats that you're wearing, so forgive me if I stumbled a little bit through that, but it speaks to the responsibility that each and every one of you carry, and perhaps a lot of the effort that goes into the work as well. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us here.
This is an exciting conversation, at least for me and Paul. Well, I could tell you my personal interest in it. I came from a background of volunteering, and so my introduction to volunteering had to do actually with community policing as well. That's how I met Mr. Carcamo about a decade or so ago, in fact. And so now seeing you again, Mr. Carcamo, back in the field doing community policing work is exciting for me. It's very reminiscent of where I came from as well. But for people who might not be familiar with the unit of community policing, I'd like for us to begin there, setting the foundation of what it is, how it differs from that general identity that a police officer might have, but also how important this work is when it comes to building relationships with communities. Perhaps we can begin with you, Mr. Gerald?
Yes, so good morning again, everyone. So looking at community policing, I recently took over office from Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Howell Gillin, with the responsibility for national community-oriented policing. With the strategy that our commissioner have embarked on, he have posted 2 deputy commanders. Each of them have their dual responsibilities in these persons. When it comes to community policing, there's a number of things that we have to get done. There are some programs that we run under community policing that are very viable, and some of them are facing some challenges. We spoke about building trust, confidence, and that is what we're poised to do.
Yeah.
We look at fostering a better working relationship with members of the general public, partners, as well as stakeholders. The focus of community policing now in this era is to look at rebuilding, refocusing, and of course, reorganizing the community policing efforts. So we use different programs such as the Do the Right Thing program, the Police Youth Cadet Corps program, the Voluntary Special Constables, Citizens on Patrol, and of course Neighborhood Watch and the Citizen Advisory Committees. All these programs are not really new to community policing, but these programs are set forth to build confidence, build relations, to prevent and reduce crime within vulnerable areas.
How important is it to build relationships with citizens in certain communities or in all communities, where we could just also say that on the other end of this spectrum is you simply respect these officers and you follow the law? Why is there a program like community policing, and why is it so important to build these relationships?
Confidence as well as respect, like what you mentioned. It will be a bit easier for us to speak with members of the communities and be able to get certain information that is needed in order for us to deal with certain criminal elements, or probably just to reduce crime and to foster a safer neighborhood. That is what we are poised to be. Build relations and be able to reduce crime within communities so that each communities can be safe. There are times when people are saying that I don't want to go into a specific neighborhood because I don't feel safe.
Yeah.
That is what we're going to do. We are going to go into that community with our meet and greet program, go into the community, speak about our programs and talk to residents and see how best we can help them, because they would talk to us about their concerns and their suggestions. And we also use that as a platform for us to document and see where we can best place our human resources in terms of police officers patrolling the different areas.
I'm doing a course right now on leadership, and one of the things I'm learning is that in order to hold, the most effective way to hold people accountable and to inspire change is to first build a relationship with them, right? And so relationship is integral to change and accountability. But the challenge also is that relationships are hard to build, especially if you are in a position of authority and a person is below or beneath you, or subordinate, if you would. So I'd like to ask Mr. Karkuma, what are some of the challenges that you face as a police officer in building relationships with communities?
Good morning, and thanks again for having me. It has been a while, like what Ms. Sabrina has said. I was out from community policing unit itself, but not out of community policing, because community policing is within me. And I believe that is the same for my colleagues that are here. But that building relationship within the community, it is difficult. We need to understand as individual and as a group that every community has its own way of operating, and you cannot build relationship from in an office.
Right.
You have to go out there. You have to meet the community. You have to understand them, and it is not you are not always welcome at times. And so, as past and now community policing officer again, one of the things that we usually do is find leaders within that community.
Right.
You identify leaders that people have already been looking up to, because changing a community will not happen overnight. It takes a while to reach a certain extent, and it will take a while, maybe an even larger period, to get to where we want it to. But going into the community, finding leaders that these community members respect, talking with them, getting them to understand the concept. Part of my portfolio is stakeholders engagement. And a lot of times we as police officers go out there and we deal with the community, and we cannot operate to certain level that the stakeholders have. For example, we are out there dealing with a child with behavioral problems. Maybe our officers aren't trained for that, so we need to know which entity to go to.
Yes.
And by having that good relationship with the different stakeholders, it makes our life better, it makes it easier. It also gives the community that opportunity to know where to go and get the resources that is out there, because there's a lot of resources. It's just that we do not know, or we are not aware of how to get it, and that is part of our role and function, to try to see how best we can minimize crime and violence by enhancing the quality of life within the area that we live, working with the community.
And the collaborations are important as
That's
well.
right,
I love that you highlighted that, Mr. Karkama, because you spoke about stakeholders and their involvement, where you might feel that you lack in involving or interacting with certain bodies. These stakeholders can step in and provide that support.
Right.
That's how I met you guys.
Right, that's right.
But I want to get Mr. Chan in the conversation, because Mr. Karkamo also spoke about how community policing might differ in different parts of the country or different regions, right? And we have Mr. Chan here providing that direct responsibility for the West and South. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, President, good morning.
Good morning. Tell me a bit about, perhaps adding to that point, how your style of policing or community policing might differ in your area as opposed to maybe the north and the central parts.
Well, to say that the west and the southern areas of the country have different demographics. And we are trying to, being that I'm responsible for the voluntary special constables and the citizens on patrol, we need to engage with the community. And for that, that's why we're here. Because we want to reach out and network ourselves so that we can reach out and get everybody engaged. And right now we're having a recruiting drive for the voluntary special constable. We're trying to get citizens on patrol, and most important, the Citizens Advisory Committee. These are, like how Mr. Karko has emphasized, these are people that we identify that are leaders and bring together all the persons together, right, stakeholders and so on. It is different. The crime, the situations, the demographics is totally different. In the south, you have cultural activities. In the west, you have
agriculture.
Yes, agriculture
farming.
and so on. So you find out that bringing all the stakeholders together could help each other, from the east to the north, south to the west. So it is a joint effort from the police and the community for us to work together.
One of the things I appreciate you saying, both of you have said, you bring in leaders from within communities and you engage them. Because what I'm also learning is that when you want to inspire change among the masses, you don't necessarily have to convince everybody.
That's right.
Right? You convince those who are willing to be convinced, or those who are willing to come on board at first, and from there, once they've bought into the vision, then now you have a group, a 10%, that you can use to spread the vision. But what do you tell those people? What do you tell those 10%? What do you tell those leaders?
Okay, over the past we have learned that a lot of times we usually go into the community and say we want to stop certain things, or we want to engage and put certain things. And we have learned that when you do that, when you impose programs or impose activities on community, you do not get the result that you want. So we sit down with the leaders and we identify what are the problems that they are facing. We identify what are the situations and how is it that we as a police can work with them to ensure that we can make life better for them within the area. It is not what the police can do, because it's not the police, It is the police and the community working in partnership. And if we cannot work in partnership, then we won't be able to go forward properly, as we would say. We can start something, but if you do not get the community involved, if you do not coach them to take ownership of what is happening, then when the police steps out or when any organization steps out, that program might run for a little while, but then it will fall because you did not get the community involved. And so, speaking to these leaders, we explain, you see what is it that they want first within their community. And then from there, we show that linkage of how we can assist along with the leaders, how we can build that relationship, how we can tap into resources to make life even better within their area.
Where do you go about placing priority when it comes to interacting with members of the community? Because we've been highlighting speaking to leaders, but there's also an important aspect of informing the younger generation as well. Working with young people is also very important and very visible in the type of work that you guys do. Do you have a sense of priority with where you go about placing your resources and your programs? Do we focus more on young people, or do we interact more with leaders in the community who can also share information with the younger population?
I would say both of them. Currently we have some of our programs, in fact, majority of our programs are focusing on leaders, right, within the communities, like what the both deputies have mentioned. But also we do have programs that are running with younger people. For example, you have the Police Youth Cadet Corps, and you have the band that we're competing in the upcoming Band Fest. That attract young people to join the organization, and then we assist them as best as we can. And you also have the other components like the outreach programs, like food programs that we do. And then, of course, we do cleanups as well. But it is, I would say that it is two of them that we look at.
You know, I'm always curious when it comes to how community policing begins in a certain community, where perhaps there might be this sense of a cynical view of, police officers. They just want to enforce their sense of authority, or perhaps where in other cases, like we've been reporting, there's this strain on the level of confidence in the police as well. How do you go about interacting with these people and trying to shift that thinking or that mentality that they would once have about police officers, that there may be a rogue, or they only want to come and take away my voice and stifle and not really protect, and they have their own agendas? How do you shift that thinking when you go and you start community policing for the first time in a community?
First and foremost, you have to look at the approach.
Okay.
There's a specific community within the confines of Belize City that have always been stereotyped by the name and by a little bit the violence. That is not something that we want to do. Like, for example, you would say, I grew up in the south side of Belize City that is predominantly known for crime and violence. We want to make a shift on that in terms of not having that name be stigmatized. So the approach has to be different. We would go into the community, we will listen to them, we will talk to them, we will have a conversation and see where the police can help them. Because truth being told is that some people just need assistance. Assistance in the sense that they don't know who to dialogue with whenever they need certain things to get done. And that is where community policing comes in. For example, if you have an elderly person, that person might not be able to purchase medications. We as a community policing officer, we will go there, get that person's prescription with the person's family's authority, if that is the case, that they cannot reach out, and we will go and purchase it for them. That helps members of the community, that build confidence, build trust, and also in return they would communicate to us back and say that, you know what, these are certain things that is happening within my community. Can you assist in this endeavor? If they would see something, they would hear something in relation to crime or violence, then they will communicate back with us.
Talk a bit about the power of listening and, well, dialoguing, but also listening in community policing. How often do you have to give an ear as a community police officer to the needs and the concerns of residents? Like, you're sitting down there like, you're uniform, I'm a police officer, but at the same time, I spend time to listen. The power of that in community policing.
Mr. Chan?
Well, I know that our commanders engaging in a lot of training for our police officers, to the mayor fucking public relations and so on. We engage with the youths. There's a lot of mediation that the unit does. So there's a change, I believe, of dynamics when it comes to the way how police operates. And the unit itself engages on that, but we are expanded generally to the whole department. So everybody is part of community policing, and everybody must engage in that good PR.
Yes, it is very much important to understand that as police officers, our main role and function is to work with the community. And when you say about listening, giving that listening ear, part of our job is to do that. We must listen to the community. We're here to serve the community, right? And so going out there into the community, listening to what they have to say, it's not just by just patrolling. You see a police officer patrolling. If someone stops a police officer, it is our job or right to listen to the person's concern. It might not be that every time we can address it or deal with it directly there and then, but that is why we do referrals. I know that Ms. Sabrina spoke about how do you choose the community that you go into, the leaders, right? Surprisingly, we have a lot of people reaching out to the police.
Really?
Right? Whilst, yes, they say that there's not that much trust and confidence, we have a lot of people that have reached out to the police. In fact, I can give one. I've just returned back for about a month now, or 3 weeks, going to a month. And I have been in Sand Hill, working alongside with LIU, working alongside with Community Rehabilitation Department, alongside with our community policing officers from here in Belize City, trying to see how we can build relationship within that area. That is because they reach out to us, the police, and they want to see a difference within the area. And we have had several meetings, and we haven't had the success that we would want, the amount of people coming out. But we haven't given up, because if there's one person out there that wants to see a difference, we want to see a difference with them as well. And so we reach out to them. The community policing is dealing not only with elderlies and dealing with leaders within the area, as Mr. Jones mentioned. We have a lot of youth programs that we cover, and we go into the schools. They do lectures, they do the peace lectures, they used to do the great lectures. There's a program called the Police Crime Prevention Education Program, where we go into the schools to facilitate lectures. Based on things that is happening right now, you notice we have a high rate of bullying happening within schools, right? We also have a rate of sexual assault happening. So we need to go into the schools and facilitate these lessons, and whilst doing so, getting feedback to see how we can address. And it is not just the police. We collaborate with Women's Department, with the Domestic Violence Section, with no gender-based violence section. All right, we work closely with them. We work with Youth Department, right? We go in. We are seeing in the north, there's a lot of youths that have leaned to drugs, crack cocaine, all right? Why do we know that? Because the burglary rate went up, and usually that is one of the problems. And how we address that, we go into the schools, we go into the community, we also get NDAC involved to be part of it. And this is one of the ways that we are working to try to see how we can rebuild that trust within community policing and the police department.
One of the things I find interesting, and well, one of the things I'd hope to see is that one day the police department, let me put it like this, growing up,
when a child used to give trouble, at least based on my recollection, used to tell them,
I
will call the police, right? And then get afraid. But I like what you're saying, because what if one day when a child gives trouble and you say, oh, call the police, then say, well, call me, because now finally I got somebody who could listen to me, right? Versus somebody who arrest me, call them, man, because you know what, listen to me, so the police will finally listen to me, and that's what I'm hearing here in terms of the community policing approach.
It's removing that sense of fear around interacting.
It's really a sense of rebranding, a shift. And I gather, Mr. Jones, that is the objective here. That is the direction you all are heading in.
Right.
And for sure, one that isn't new necessarily. I think it's just important for us to remind the public that this type of work is being done and that there are opportunities to collaborate as well. Throughout the course of the conversation, we've been talking about the involvement with other stakeholders, nonprofits, governmental organizations as well. And Mr. Jones, you opened the conversation by highlighting some of the programs that you have running, some of the challenges involved with others as well. Are there any programs that you would like to maybe extend an opportunity to people tuning in right now, that they could reach out to you guys and say, hey, I could provide this support to community policing. I have human resources. I have funding. Is that, would that be something that you guys would be interested in?
Yes, definitely. We have this program, the Do the Right Thing program. It has not been effective since I think it was 2022, right after COVID, and we did not do any submissions, or we did not receive any submissions in 2023, 2024, and there was only 2 for the northern part of the country, which is Corozal, in 2025. But this year is a different year, and we want to see that that program is up and running.
What's the makeup of it? Do the right thing.
Do the right thing. It simply gives secondary students, the chance to actually get an opportunity in terms of scholarships and things like that. They have been through a challenging situation, either by poverty or by some form of violence.
Some form of adversity.
Yes. But their grade maintains a high average of GPA. I mean, in the A's are between 95 and 100, or depending on that. And the teachers or the principals or the counselor or even the police officer can recommend that this person be recognized for their effort, because that is something that we want to do. Recognize them for their efforts, and they would be compensated. So we have been receiving the applications or submissions for the month of February that recently went, and now we're continuing until May with the hope of tentatively setting the grand graduation or the ceremony in the month of June, July, thereabout, depending on the amount. But that is a program that actually gives you a chance to boost your morale and give you that confidence to go back into school, because that is what we're supposed to do. Again, we want to do a change around. Just a shift again in the Police Youth Cadet Corps in 1994 that's first started, and we are running like 32 years of experience right now with the Police Youth Cadet Corps. And this year we want to have our 27th annual Police Youth Cadet Corps camp. It is already set in for the Ecumenical High School in Stan Creek, Dangriga, between the 25th of July to the 1st of August. Since it had first started, I was part of that program and recruited as a Police Youth Cadet Corps member. And I have seen the work that was done. I got interested in the program, and it gives you educational trips. It talks to you about life skill challenges, or it gives you mentorship, making good decisions in life. And now I'm a commander with this responsibility to continue that working effort, right? And we do have other persons who have went on to different agencies, different businesses, but I chose to become a police officer because I want to give back to my community, and recruited on one of the areas or within the country, within the Belize City area. it's not an area that was all crystal and all gold and all glamish. It's an area that has seen drugs, of course, violence itself. But like I said, it was a decision that I made because I wanted to be someone in society and know that I'm here, I'm giving back.
Yeah.
So persons or sponsors or businesses can reach out to us if it is that they want to sponsor a program, because the Do the Right Thing program
rewards
is based on giving rewards,
Yeah.
based on the initiative from the communities, businesses.
My final question for you gentlemen is, where does accountability fall into play where the policing, the community policing unit is concerned? We've talked about listening as a key component. We've talked about dialogue as a key component. But what happens when a leader goes astray or a community does not necessarily respond favorably, and you have to go back and say, we've talked about this. You've said this is what you wanted, this is what you wanted, this is a change you want to see in your community, but we're not seeing that change right now. Where does the accountability fall into play? Or do you leave that to the other units?
Well, first of all, when it comes to dealing with community work, we must realize that it takes time, a lot of effort. You can go out there, you can sit with leaders and groups, and you can decide that this is what we want to do. And at the end of the day, some people put in their effort and some don't. We just need to go back to the drawing boards. That is why we use, we deal with the SARA model, right? And so we continue going back to the drawing boards and seeing what is it that is going on. Because when you put certain things in place to happen in a community, sitting down with the community and so forth, there are people with certain responsibilities. If everybody do not do their part, obviously certain things we won't meet the goal or the objective that we want. And when you have reached certain point or a certain timeline and you notice that, or during that checking up, you notice that you are not meeting it, that is where we do the feedback. And part of my responsibility is also accountability when it comes to the programs, to ensure that the programs that are running within the country and the community policing are running effectively. And so we have, since we have returned back to community policing, Mr. Jones can tell you that we have spent many times, hours, trying to see how we can put things in place to have accountability, not only for the programs that we have, but for the officers that we have working with us within this program. Because you mentioned something crucial, listening. It is not everyone that is made to be a community policing officer.
I could
Whilst,
imagine.
yes, as a police department, we believe and we say that everyone should be a community policing officer, because we are serving the community. It is not everyone that would sit down and have that patience, have that, so people don't like losing, you know.
Yeah.
So if certain things don't happen, they get all frustrated.
I feel like you guys should be considered like the backbone though of policing too.
Right. So we try to recruit as much police officers that are more passionate for working with the community, and also looking at those who have the qualifications when it comes to social work and so forth, because community policing leads a lot when it comes to social work. And so we are working very much closely with our department. I am glad that the Commissioner of Police and the Ministry is supporting, bringing back and building this community policing initiative within our area, because I can tell you, in the past, when I met Miss Sabrina and the crowd from Love Foundation and working along with the Youth and Community Transformation Project in the south, the southern part of Belize City, a lot of relationship was built, and we can see a lot of youths that participated in these initiatives.
I see some of them graduating now.
And some
it's
of
amazing.
them, right? So it gives you that feeling to know that what you are doing is for positivity within your area, and these are leaders of the country that are coming up. they will not remain in one area. They will go across the country. And this is what we need to understand. Community policing, while some people want to say immediate response and immediate action, well, not action, but immediate response to what you are doing, it will take a while.
Yeah.
So now these same youths that went through the program, that appreciated the program, are across the country, these are some that we can tap into to start other programs and other things within the
And that's
area.
how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, we're completely out of time, and so we want to thank you all so much for engaging us in this conversation. We've learned a lot. Our viewers, they appreciate community police, the community policing unit, so much more as a result of this conversation and the work that you all do. So congratulations to all of you, and continue to do the good job you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, we have to take another quick break, but don't go anywhere. Our next conversation is balancing the scales, uplifting women's voices in Women's Month.
Alright, when the one fun day on, the window open and the light may turn off. It look like you listen to me, Jamie.
Not only that, I even get a new coffee mug where keep my coffee hot all day.
I'm impressed. You don't look like you're so hard here.
Better than that, BL can change my meter to one of their new smart meter, they call it the AMI.
Oh, I hear about it on TV from a BL ad, you know.
Yes, man, it don't reach the money better to change it right now. Let's go check it out.
Hey guys, I'm almost done here.
So now when you are reach my area?
We're upgrading meters across Belize, house by house, business by business. Always look out for BL logo, uniforms, and IDs. BL will make you know when we're in the area. The EMI meter rollout is a part of BL strategy to modernize our energy services.
You don't need to come in at my house, right?
Come in at your house, boss, only if you got something good for you.
BEL, bringing you a brighter tomorrow.
Get ready for fantastic discounts from now through to September 30th. Venice is having store-wide discounts on tools, paints, appliances, plumbing and electrical products, lights and fans, household items, and much, much more. Visit a Venice store near you to enjoy fantastic discounts from now through to September 30th. Only at Venice. Quality and savings.
Festival come to this very nation.
In Isaiah 30:29 it says, and you will sing as on the night you celebrate a holy festival, and your hearts will rejoice. The body of Christ will unite, and many hearts will rejoice on the Saturday, March 7, 2026 at the Belize Civic Center, beginning at 6 p.m. as a Heavenly's Productions brings to you Jesus Festival.
Jesus Festival. Yeah, Jesus.
Featuring the hottest gospel artist coming out of the Bahamas, Sherwin Gardner.
So I say, with all of my heart and all of my soul, I worship you, oh Jah. Tell them that the praise never stop. All I want to do is give you the highest praise.
Also showcasing one of the biggest gospel artists from out of Trinidad and Tobago, Positive, dropping his hit tunes.
Rolling in my two-man army, my Jesus and I wanna sing out some sweet gospel reggae. Listen after blessing and nothing can hold it back.
And then it's the return of the biggest gospel band in Belize, Heavenly.
I'm gonna be Heavenly's for life, serving Jesus Christ.
from Atlanta, Georgia, USA, the daughter of the world-famous televangelist Creflo Dollar, none other than Jordan Dollar, with her hit song. Also highlighting Genesis 501 from Capital City, Pemberton. Blind Sight, Genesis Gospel Band from Sugar City, Orange Walk. Reality Youth, Pastor Herman Blees and the Kings Park Prince team. Pastor Frederick Gordon and Garin Carvalho and his GCO group. Remember Jesus Festival. Jesus Festival. Yeah, Jesus. Rocking on the world. Taking place Saturday, March 7, Belize Civic Center from 6 p.m. until. Bring out the entire family for a time of praising God and witnessing souls being saved and lives being recommitted to God. For tickets, call 615-4766. That's 615-4766. Sponsors: Angela's Press, Racino's Imports, Cellular World, Love FM, More FM, Quem Radio, Vibes Radio, Plus TV, Channel 7, Channel 5, and Wave Radio. Come on out and be blessed. Jesus Festival. Yeah, Jesus.
The future is calling. Belize Bank. Your future, our commitment.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned. This is a second conversation for this morning, and it's all about Women's Month. Happy Women's Month.
Thank you, Paul. Happy Women's Month. And happy Women's Month to our guests as well.
Yes, so we have joining us on set the Executive Director of the National Women's Commission, Miss Eleanor Murillo. Good morning.
Good morning.
And happy Women's Month to you.
Thank you very much.
I love the colors.
I love it indeed.
Yes, we have to represent.
And we also have somebody that collaborates closely with her joining us on set, Program Officer at the National Women's Commission, Mr. Jared Coleman. Good morning, Mama.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
And happy Women's Month.
Thank you. Happy Women's Month to you.
Thank you.
All right. Do you only tell women that, or you tell men that?
I mean, you came from a woman, so we can all celebrate it, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I just to try to set the record straight. Good morning to both of you. It's a pleasure having you on set. Let's begin with what's different this year when it comes to Women's Month.
Women's Month is twofold. One, it's a celebration of women, historically and present day, and also it's taking stock of where we are. So each year it's different in terms of the issues that continue to plague women and girls. And so based on our team, Balance the Scale, we thought it was timely in terms of the work of the Ministry of Human Development as well as the work of the Commission. We had the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act that was passed. We did consultations last year on the Domestic Violence Bill. And so it's balancing the scale means that we look, how do we balance access to law, access to justice for women and girls, access to services. And as we see, the complaint continue to be that people feel that they're not getting adequate services that they're supposed to get from these government service providers. And so this year, it gives us the opportunity to do a lot of education, not only the Commission, but all our stakeholders and partners do a lot of empowering sessions for women and girls and men and boys across this country, educating on not only women issues, but everyday issues that we continue to face.
Yeah. What is one of the most glaring areas today for you
that the scale is off balance?
Health of women, access to health, affordability of health. You know, when we look at the data, heart disease, diabetes, and so on, cancer, every day you see younger and younger people dying. And so definitely health is one of our major issues. How do we ensure that we educate and also encourage women and girls to, you know, to visit their doctors, to get their annual checkup, encourage our population to eat healthy.
Yeah.
I think it's so hard to do because it's something that is already embedded in terms of the sweet drinks and the fatty foods and all the foods that have in all these GMOs and so on. So how do we get that behavior change? How do we spread that awareness on the importance of being healthy? If you're not healthy, you cannot do anything else.
I think data also shows that unemployment and underemployment is a huge issue affecting women, especially in rural communities.
Yeah. And you know, when we look at the data from the SIB, sometimes it looks like unemployment is very low. But one of the questions asked in that survey for persons, do you want to work? And so if they say no, then you're not unemployed. If I don't want to work, then I choose not to
But you're
want
still
to work.
Unemployed.
You're still unemployed.
And then
but
there are
it
stories
does sting
beneath
the
that
data.
too, though.
Oh yeah, and of course, women again continue to face discrimination.
Yeah.
You're a woman, we can't hire you. You cannot lift 50 pounds. You will get pregnant and you'll be out for months. You have the issue of domestic violence and having to take time off to go to the doctor, to go to court, and so women are still discriminated in terms of even salaries. A woman may have more qualification, more experience, and may still get less monies with a male doing the same job or less. You know, so yeah, of course, unemployment, gender-based violence continue to plague our society. Education, while more women are educated than men, it does not show in the employment thing. We are not doing the work. We are not getting work. Like that, and even so, education is still costly. It's not free, and even the level of education and we have children from 2020 who just got lost in the system after COVID, did not go back to school. We have people going to school, finishing high school and cannot write a decent paragraph. So we still have issues as it relates to education as well. You know, one of the things that I'm really happy that we were able to highlight is the data when it comes to employment or underemployment and the statistics that we have, because as I mentioned, there are stories beneath each and every one of those statistics. While you might have women not working and saying that they chose not to work, perhaps behind that there's the expectation that they shouldn't work because instead they should be in the home and nurturing the family and the children and taking care of the house. And you would see this in cultures as well. And so a month like this recognizes that, and it forces us to have that conversation. I want to get Mr. Coleman in the conversation, though. He mentioned that he he joined the commission about a little bit over a year. What has the experience been like, immersing yourself in all things women and women development, and also acknowledging the work that still needs to be done?
Well, it's been a huge eye-opener, I must admit. I think in late last year, there was a rise in femicides, and I tell Miss Maria, myself, I feel like I didn't leave mental health. Yeah, because it's new to me. It was new to me, and like I said, I'm the communications officer, so when I opened Facebook in the morning, the woman was unfortunately burned to death, one was found in a barrel. It was a lot to take in, I won't lie. So some days, me and her were in office, and I was like, I tired.
Feeling is mutual.
I was tired of it. But beyond that, working on strengthening the policies, like Ms. Eleanor mentioned, the DV bill that we did consultations on, it's good to get feedback from these women as it relates to what they experience on their day-to-day life as they deal with domestic violence or gender-based violence or discrimination in a whole.
Yeah.
So as we work to strengthen these policies and work to just make a better system for them, I guess it makes me feel happy nonetheless.
How do you put a spotlight on that during the month of March, but also still ensuring that the conversation continues after?
Well, we try to share, as Ms. Mario mentioned, as much data as possible. We try to gather, I guess, see how different organizations show the world on an international level deal with certain issues and see how we can try to implement those here in Belize, at least from the national level. No? In terms of, like, for example, the Cybercrime Act, you know, we brought that up a lot in the domestic violence consultation. That is something that's newly added. And I think it's good for these women to know that, hey, this Cybercrime Act is new. It can help you, and it's something that we are pushing to make sure that it's implemented to the fullest extent.
Yeah, I think the domestic violence bill, soon to be an act, is so important when I think about in the past, victims, though they had the police, didn't necessarily have a law like this in place to defend them. And then men are victims as well, right? But we're talking about women here. And so children felt and families felt as if they simply had to subject themselves to this sort of behavior from the authority, the dominant authority in the home, which is the men. And now they no longer have to feel that way. The kids no longer have to feel like they don't have a direction to turn. The women, the victims, don't have to feel like they don't have a direction to turn, because this legislation is here to protect them against the force that is the man, the abuser in this case.
Definitely, and that's why the education is so important, because when laws are passed, then we have to educate everybody. The service providers needs to know the law, and we know we have issues with that. Everybody needs to know the law. We had a case the other day that we were dealing with where the woman went to the police station and they did not help her. She went to the court, she went to the Ministry of Human Development. She was all over the place and she did not get help. Somebody told her, go to the commission. Now for me, I was very disappointed because we do not provide services. And I did not like a poor woman had to leave her village from far away to come all the way to Belize City when you have these services right within her jurisdiction, but we took the time to go through the law with her and to explain the services, what she can apply for, what to expect. So the next time the police came, she were able to say, listen, I know my rights. Yeah. And I was very proud of her for saying that, I know my rights, because they were going to pull her out of a house that they have no authority to do.
Yeah, and that really boils down to ignorance as well.
Ignorance, and so the education part, taking a little time to go through the system and the process with people is so very important. That's the role of the service providers.
How does this bill or this legislation or any other hold police officers accountable where they do not provide the service that is required in cases like this?
The bill, a whole section speaks to police officers and what is expected. So I'm very happy. I can't wait for this bill to pass, to become law. Because, they are held accountable. They will be charged. It holds the clerk of court and all the other service providers. So it's a strengthened bill. No, it's after that, it will be the implementation and the monitoring to ensure that people are doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Let's quickly go into some of the activities that we can expect as we celebrate Women's Month this March. Perhaps some key forums and discussions that we will be expecting from the Commission, and even collaborations.
Yes, Mr. Coleman, you have.
Yes, so I am bringing it up because we just posted the calendar on our Facebook page. It's about 14 pages, and it's still more to add to that. So I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but. So in Belize, we have the gender-based violence training with the Coast Guard. The date is still yet to be determined, but this will be undertaken by the Office of the Special Envoy. I think that is something very instrumental. We have the Power Over Period campaign donation to the Stella Maris School. This is also being undertaken by the Office of the Special Envoy. Yesterday we had the different churches that opened Women's Month. I guess I wasn't there, so I'm not sure what they spoke about, but it's something. I think it's great to have the churches involved, especially, you know, they hold a lot of say in certain areas, no? In certain locations. Today is March 2nd. I know in Belmont we have the, I guess, opening launch on March that the Ministry of Human Development is currently undertaking. We also have
the police department
This
as
morning.
well
Yes,
is doing
it's
an
also
opening ceremony in
uniform.
Belize City,
We're gonna be
and all
there.
the women in uniform will be going down the main streets.
They're
That's
parading,
exciting,
right?
So that's
Yeah.
exciting,
Yeah.
to show women in uniform also have a voice and also to inspire the younger people who may want to become police officers. So so I think that's a very good activity.
And I guess to highlight one more, the Belize Police Department is doing a park beautification and elderly visit, and this is an open event right here in Belize City as well. I think, like I mentioned, everything is on the calendar, the contact person for the information, and we have from Belize City, San Pedro, Kikaker, Toledo, and in Cairo as well, who participate.
Across the
How can we
country.
access the calendar?
It's on the Facebook page and our
Yes.
Instagram. It will be posted on the website shortly. And as I mentioned, it's still being updated. It's 14 pages right now. More activities are coming in, and we still have a few more to add. So more than likely to be like 20 pages at the end.
Tell us about your Women Empowerment Forum that's set to take place and what we can get out of that.
The Empowerment Forum, again, it's basically looking at all the areas in alignment with our national gender policy and our international commitments that we have signed on to and what is going on globally in the world. Right now they have the Commission on the Status of Women in New York going on. Again, they will be discussing some of these same things. So we look at health, as we said. We look at women in leadership. We look at financial literacy, women in business, getting women to understand how you can start up your small business and see yourselves as entrepreneurs and not just, I am just a homemaker. You know, you start your business and how do you get help in terms of navigating the system, because it's not as simple as we may think. A lot of these things are online now, and if you're not very tech savvy, then it becomes difficult for you. People may just give up and say, you know what, I'm not going to do this, applications and all these things that you have to do. So it's really giving them empowering tools. We will add a little bit of spirituality in it as well, mind, body, and spirit. And so really looking at the holistic person. And then in the afternoon, we will have government, financial institution, NGOs setting up booths, again, providing more information. So it's a full day of really empowering tools and also learning the system in Belize and how you can navigate the system.
Where will it be, and is it an open invitation for people to come and attend?
It's open. It will be at the Belize Civic Center from 9 until 3.
Okay.
How often does members of the commission gather to discuss women's issues in the country?
The commission, the board itself meets like quarterly, but at the secretariat, it's every day. It's an everyday thing for us. Every day there is something up in our face, or we're getting some call, or we're getting a visitor. So every day we discuss women's issues. We also, we did the CEDA report 2024, and so now they're expecting us to respond to a lot of things. Belize, you sign on to this, you said you will do this. What have you done for your women and girls in these areas? We also did the convention on Belém do Pará, which looks at the elimination, eradication, prevention of violence against women and girls. Again, we are uploading that on the platform, and they're very strict in terms of you all have signed on to these things and you're not doing anything. So what is going on, Belize? And so it's a daily thing for us because we have all these things to do. We cannot do it on our own. We have to get the data from the other partners, the other service providers, and so on. So we stay busy all year long.
And ultimately the buck stops with you, in essence, as executive director. How do you handle the weight of all these responsibilities?
Well, my faith keeps me going. My faith in God keeps me going, and I always, we're a team, and so everything we do together. We sit, we plan, and we distribute work, and then we come back and see what we have, how we can improve it, and so on. And so we don't really, the noise bother us sometimes, but we do not focus on the noise, we focus on the people. It's about the people, the most vulnerable, who deserves better. And so that's the focus that we keep at the Commission.
All right. So what's finally your message this morning?
Balance the scale, women especially. We celebrate you, we see all the hard work you do, but you have to take care of yourself. Yes. You have to take care of yourself. Yes, you want to be a go-getter, you want to be a professional woman, and so on. You want to be well educated, but there needs to be a healthy balance in education and also in your health and all the other things, and being a kind and compassionate person as well, being a good human being. So balancing means that we look at the holistic person and we ensure that we are balanced. And even if we get off balance, pick ourselves up and we try to keep that healthy balance. So happy Women's Month to all women. And we hope that it's a great month for women, because as Jared said, it breaks our heart every time we get a bad story, something happening to a woman, so.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. This has been a wonderful conversation. We look forward to the different activities that will be rolled out throughout the course of the month. And of course, we continue this conversation beyond the month of March as well. Wear your purple, though, this month.
Yes.
We want to see purple across the street.
Yes.
But we got to take another quick break, but don't go anywhere. Our next conversation is all about navigating and shaping success with women in digital spaces.
That's me. My data done, and I really need to get my ad out today.
Really? Well, you can join our Smart Group plan.
Really? How that work?
Easy, let me tell you.
Whether it's family, friends, or your small business, we've got the perfect plan for every group. More members equals more savings, more connections. Smart Group plans bring the connectivity you love to you and your circle. No one gets left behind. Explore Share One package option and add on unlimited data, calls, and SMS for the entire group for less than $50 per member. Visit any Smart showroom countrywide or email sales@speednet-wireless.com to sign up today. Smart, bringing people together.
When you step off the edge.
Too late to back out now. He said I'm ready. No, I'm not.
And land somewhere unexpected. Sometimes it breaks you open. Wild at root?
That is very bitter.
But sweet on the tongue. Where history calls out, and you answer with open arms. This isn't just a journey. It's across borders.
That was amazing!
The future is calling. Belize Bank. Your future, our commitment.
Haven't updated your information recently? Well, kick off the new year as a winner. RF&G Insurance is giving you a free chance to win every month. Entering is easy. Just chat with us on WhatsApp and update your information. That's it. You'll be automatically entered into our monthly raffle for a chance to win awesome prizes. Don't wait. Message us on WhatsApp and update your info today. RF&G Insurance. It pays to get it right.
Galenia Hospital, located in Cancun, Mexico's premier tourism destination, is a state-of-the-art healthcare facility that provides highly specialized medical services. We are Quintana Roo's biggest private hospital with board-certified doctors and staff. Some of our services include cath lab, adult intensive care unit, neonatal intensive care unit, emergency rooms, operating theaters, ambulance services, and more. We are a medically accredited hospital by JCI, Accreditation Canada International, and General Health Council, providing extraordinary care in every specialty, from our cardiology department to our neurology center. We are focused on treating the entire person, body, mind, and spirit. Contact us at medicaltourism@hospitalgalenia.com or visit our website at www.hospitalgalenia.com. Come to Galenia Hospital in Cancun for a truly personal medical care experience.
Finally, a postpaid plan for 3 people. Introducing Smart Trio. Why pay for mobile service alone when you can share and save? Get unlimited national calls, text, plus 100 gigabytes of shared data. And the best part? It's only $135. That's right, as low as $45 per person. Perfect for small families, couples, or close friends. Smart Trio. 3 lines, 1 smart choice. Sign up now and you could win a Trio getaway to San Pedro for 3. Visit us at www.smart-bz.com for more information or sign up at any showroom today. Smart, bringing people together.
Final conversation, but still sticking to the topic of women empowerment, women in leadership. We are going to be touching on women in digital spaces in this next conversation. And to guide us through that, we have some ladies joining us virtually via Zoom. We have with us Dr. Lila Estefan. She's the non-communicable disease coordinator. And she's representing the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Also joining us is Namrita Balani. She's the Director of Science and Technology, representing the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology. And also joining us is Diomni Habet. She's the Marketing Manager, representing the Belize Collection. Ladies, thank you for joining us and welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, it's a pleasure. Also, I guess I should go on the record to say Happy Women's Month as well. This is an exciting time to acknowledge women and the work that they're doing, the representation that we have, and just women breaking the glass ceiling as well. All right, well, let's go into the conversation this morning that has to do with women in digital spaces. I know that this is a big initiative that has been seen all over digital spaces as well. We have some familiar faces, as you can see behind me, especially one in the middle, in the center. But to give us a general overview, perhaps we can get one of you ladies to break down what this initiative is for shaping success with women in digital spaces.
Hi, so the whole purpose of the event, this is our annual Women's Day event hosted by the Belize Collection. Last year, we started off for the first time by spotlighting 4 women in conservation, and this year we wanted to, with everything that is changing in the modern world, we wanted to highlight a different sector. So today, actually, you're only meeting 2 of our panelists. As you mentioned earlier, we also have Marlene Claire joining us this Saturday, as well as Ms. Sharon, who Ms. Shara works at Central Bank, and also Ms. Elise, who does graphic design at Bowen & Bowen. So we really wanted to spotlight different women who have to use and have to adapt to the digital world from various sectors, even though today you're only seeing 2 of them.
You mentioned that this has been an annual initiative. I want to go back to when the first one was held and the purpose behind it and how it has been since building upon it yearly.
So if I'm being super honest, the purpose solely is to create spaces to host these conversations, amplify these voices. We host this for the first time last year. It was really just let's try it and let's see. And this year it's picked up a lot more momentum than I genuinely thought it would. And again, it's not necessarily an event that we host. We host it at the Banks, which shares the property with Sleeping Giant, which you might be more familiar with. But it's not something that we host for a profit. It's generally just because our leadership here at the Belize Collection is mostly women, including myself and my director. These are initiatives that we get to kind of put our resources behind because it's something that we see every day in our workplace, and it's something that matters to us as a company. It is one of our values to uplift women. So naturally, having the resources, having the space, it was just an event that we thought of, and this year we're following the same format as last year, where it's free to the public, and right after the roundtable talk, we're also having an artisan pop-up shop with only women entrepreneurs as well.
I'd like to bring Dr. Lila into the conversation to speak a bit about how you, in your professional space as a woman, how you've had to adapt to the digital world and some of the challenges that you've faced as a result.
Thanks for asking that question, Paul. When it comes to healthcare, I just want to share a little statistic that we know globally women constitute 70% of the health workforce, but when we look at women in these leadership roles, we're only seeing 25%. The digital world, these digital tools have facilitated a lot of the processes. A lot of the things that were once being done manually can now be done through AI solutions or through other technological advances. But with the use of digital solutions, we also must be mindful that the human component cannot be replaced completely. So things like being a medical professional, whereas I can use telemedicine to help communicate with my patient that might be far away, that solution will not replace me as a doctor or my medical background. So we must know how to use these solutions, but also recognize that it can't replace us and the human element that we bring.
Would you say it then comes at an advantage, or it gives you as a healthcare professional an advantage in carrying out your duties?
Definitely, Paul. And I'm sure all the ladies can emphasize in their own sectors how these digital solutions are facilitating their work. But we also have to know that there are certain limitations, such as the governance aspects. When it comes to health data, it's very privy to, confidentiality rules. There's a lot of things that surround it. So you must be very careful when you're using these tools as well. So you need to have the right people in the right places making these decisions and setting it out exactly as it should be used for our general population, because we need to really be careful of how we use the data, especially for our Belizean population. We don't want things to be leaked, for example.
Yeah. I want to bring Ms. Namrita Balani in the conversation. As we mentioned, she is the Director of Science and Technology, representing the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science and Technology. So she has quite a big shoes to fill. However, I imagine definitely capable. And so I really want to speak to your working leadership, Ms. Balani, and perhaps speaking to the importance of women leading in digital spaces as well.
Hi, thank you, Sabrina. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yes, Sabrina, like you said, I'm in leadership right now. It took a while. I'm from a very tech background. So when I started at the Ministry as a network admin, I was climbing ceilings, dealing with cabling. I did all of that with the firewall.
Wow.
And that wasn't common, right? I think the stereotype of how a female in tech should have dressed was I'm talking about 10 years ago. It was very different, right? They'd see a girl in heels and makeup and think that, oh, you don't belong in this field. Like, are you the secretary? And be like, no, I'm the one doing all this work. So we've seen a huge shift from back then, but not enough. I mean, females, I just did a guest speech for the graduating class in UB for tech, and it's still just 30% females. So we're still seeing that gender gap in the field.
Yeah, no, and I also know, Namrita, that you've, through the ministry, you all have sought to expand women in ICT, knowledge there. Why is this an important initiative?
Well, I think I'm a little biased, Paul, but I mean, I'm a girl in tech, and I didn't see enough representation. I didn't get enough motivation. Even when I decided to take the field, so many people kept telling me, like, are you sure you want to be in that field? Like, we don't see enough females in that. Maybe it's just a male field. Maybe you should take business. And so there were so many people to discourage me, but I pushed through, right? And then now being in this role, you know, I worked with my team and we said that we want to come up with something where we can expose, encourage, and support more girls in ICT. So we came up with the Lead Like a Girl campaign. And we realized that, you know, exposure is number one. And then, like, once you're exposed to it, how do you encourage them to continue? And if they're in the field, how do you help support them, you know? And so that specific campaign has been focused on, you know, how do you do it from your couch? How do you do it from your community? How do you do it from your company and for your from your country standpoint? So it's sort of trying to bring in other players too, and we're so, you know, we commend the Belize Collection for giving us the space for this as well.
I really want to ask you another question, Ms. Namrita, because you spoke about what your experience was like when you first expressed the perhaps interest in a field that was considered male-dominated at that time. Do you think that the era that we are currently in now in 2026, that is kind of done away with, or do you still feel that women are still struggling to fit themselves in these considered male-dominated roles, whether it's pursuing a degree that's more male-centered or filling certain roles in leadership as well?
I mean, I see more females in the field, but not enough in leadership. And then I have friends that work in private sector and in different sectors, and they come back and they say they're not making the same like their male counterparts. So that, I think that the discrimination is still there. It's how do you expose more? So I know with us, we've been trying to promote more coding from primary school, because if you wait till high school to expose them, then they've already sort of made up their mind, right? So it's just staying to it. There's some meetings that I still go to, and I go with my male colleagues, and they think I'm their secretary, but so it's still there.
Yeah. Dr. Lila, just going back to you for a bit again, as a 21st century professional, how have you had to expand and build on your capacity to meet the digital demands of this age?
I think something that you will encourage always is to continuous education, right? So never feel like you know enough. We are in the age and era where you can access virtually any learning course, any training course online. Most of them are free of cost as well. So I always say, you know, we need to be kept up to date. As a medical professional, you are required to have certain number of hours of continuous medical education. So I can't renew my medical license every year if I'm not being kept up to date with what the latest technologies and medicines and treatments are. It's an injustice for my patients, and it's an injustice for the medical professional. And so I love what Namrita said, because similarly in the health field, you know, a woman would often be taken as the nurse, whereas a male that's beside you would be taken as the doctor, right? And so these are the stereotypes that we are often faced, even though most of the healthcare force are women. And in my graduating class, for example, we had mostly women doctors being passing every year. So I think that one of the main things is, you know, stay up to date with the information, try to refine different skills and techniques, so that when you are in a position where you are being considered for a leadership role, at least when it comes to that part of your CV, it's not missing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a rich point when you spoke about what experiences or like stereotypes would look like in terms of the medical field. It's very true. We would assume that the male would be the doctor, the female, the nurse. Well, we do have to wind down this conversation, but I want to go back to Ms. Diomni and speak about perhaps how people can attend this event if they are interested in interacting and learning a bit more about these personal stories.
So our event is this Saturday. It starts at 10 a.m. at the Banks. Again, the Banks shares the same entrance as Rainforest Lodge at Sleeping Giant, if you're more familiar with Sleeping Giant. The event is free to attend. We will be having an artisan pop-up shop that follows immediately after our roundtable talk at 12 p.m. We'll also be having a special buffet for locals as well for that day. So I'd just like to invite the public and anyone who might be interested. We also have our pool and anything else that you can do such as the trails that you can do on the grounds as well. So you can make a whole day out of it. If you're not in Belmopan or very close to Belmopan, there's tons to do. So if you have any more questions or wanted to contact our office, you could WhatsApp us at 615-2167.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for taking the time to join us virtually. We appreciate your input, the conversations, and we hope that you have a successful event.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, we do have to wrap up the show at this time. It has been a wonderful Monday morning. It is March 2nd, and if you are celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday to you. If you'd like to give a birthday shout out, or if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can send us an email at oie@greaterbelize.com.
You can also catch us live on our socials. That's Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ for the live broadcast. You can get behind the scenes content at OIE Belize on Instagram, and then we also have TikTok. That's openyoureyes.bz.
And you can even text us or call us on our OIE phone number. That's 675-2555. But please do us a favor and join us again tomorrow on Tuesday when you open your eyes
and start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your minds,
and your hearts open.
Have a wonderful Monday, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Bye.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.